Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. This is Miss Sidra Iqbal, visiting teacher of History and Art, Department of History and Art, Division of Arts and Social Sciences, University of Education, Bank Road Campus, Lahore. I am here with course title Economic History of Pakistan for the program of Masters of History with the course code of HIST 4116. This is the series of our subject Economic History of Pakistan. Today we are going to discuss another topic in the series of Economic History of Pakistan. Today we are going to discuss the natural resources in Pakistan. First of all, in two previous lectures we discussed the water, then we discussed the gas, minerals. Now this is our third lecture on natural resources in Pakistan. Actually, these are huge natural resources exist in Pakistan. So we are going to slowly with all these natural resources to discuss in our lectures one by one. So today we start our lecture from petroleum. First of all, we have to understand that what is petroleum. Petroleum is crude form of oil, which is the mixture of petrol, diesel, mobile oil, furnace oil, and many other things. When it is heated, it is converted into frictions. These are the crude form of oil. Petroleum is the mixture of these all: petrol, diesel, mobile oil, and furnace oil. Frictions of petroleum. There are some frictions of petroleum, which are, first of all, petrol gasoline, diesel, mobile oil, which is also called the lubricant oil, kerosene oil, which is also called the paraffin oil, furnace oil, asphalt, and naphtha. These all are the frictions of the petroleum. Resources of petroleum in Pakistan, especially resources of petroleum are existed especially in Pakistan, the area Pakistan's area of Balochistan. In Balochistan, the large number of petroleum existing in three parts of Balochistan. One is, as I shown in the map, you can see that in Balochistan, in the three parts, first is Bolan, then second one is Khuzdar, and the third one is Lasbela. In these three parts of the Balochistan, the sources of petroleum existing in this part of the Pakistan. So you see that the resources of petroleum in Pakistan, first of all we discuss Balochistan, secondly in Sindh. If we discuss about Sindh, the resources of petroleum exist in Sindh. Three locations in Sindh. First, Mirpur. The second one is Badin, and the third one is Sangad. These three locations existing in Sindh where the resources of petroleum exist in Sindh, the part of Pakistan. Resources of petroleum in Sindh. Total assets of petroleum in Pakistan is 39,838 million Pakistani rupees. These are the total assets of Pakistan, of petroleum in Pakistan. If we talk about according to the provinces, in Punjab the petroleum exists 15,485 tons. Then the Sindh 95,833 tons petroleum existed, or the assets of petroleum existed. KPK, in KPK 44,586 tons. The assets of petroleum in KPK is 44,586 tons, and the assets of petroleum in Pakistan, sorry, in Balochistan, these are the 1,90,546 tons. These are the total assets of petroleum which exist in Pakistan, and the different in the provinces of Pakistan. I also gave you the total assets which how much it exists in the provinces. So causes and effects, if we talk about the causes and effects, there is some problem which Pakistan had faced due to these the uh, effects on the petroleum, like first of all bad technology. Due to the bad technology, we cannot utilize our natural resources as they have to utilize it. The second and important thing is that ignorance of our assets. There is a problem of the ignorance of our assets, especially in the Balochistan. Corruption of government, the another much more important factor is the corruption of government, which also affects the natural resources. The parties polit- uh, done their politics on them. So corruption is the main source which affects all these companies contract. A number of internal and external companies contract on the natural resources. They've set their companies, but they exploited our natural resources. A number of countries exploited the sources of the natural resources of our country. These all things, like as I talked about, bad technology, ignorance of our assets, corruption of government, and the exploitation of different companies contract, these all things became the affected our natural resources and became the crisis causes of the crisis. So reasons behind poor management. Now we have to figure out that what are the reasons behind poor management. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी. जैसे मैंने अभी बात की कि बहुत सारे हमारे जो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं वो उन पे तवज्जो ही नहीं दी जा रही, ख़ास तौर पे बलूचिस्तान के अंदर पेट्रोलियम के, जैसे हमने देखा खुजदार में, लसबेला में, इन सारी जगहों पे, सिंध के अंदर सांगड़ है, फिर मीरपुर है, यहाँ पे जो इतने ज़खायर मौजूद हैं लेकिन वो अदम तवज्जो जो है उसका शिकार है. पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी हमारे मुल्क में तकरीबन 47 से ही रही है जब से पाकिस्तान बना. तो ये जो पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी है इसने कभी पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी एज वी टॉक अबाउट इट was law and order. There is a another main reason behind the poor management is was law and order in Pakistan. These are the factors, or we can say that the reasons behind poor management. Another and main factor behind the poor management is the corruption. In our country, the problem of corruption is on peak. There is a lot of cases in every political party or in every government always occur. Political instability is also because of the corruption, and these things are also created problem, or we can say that the reasons behind the poor management. Lack of vision and planning. There is another factor is the lack of vision and planning. uh, if we see that the in natural resources, mineral are also existing in Balochistan and Sindh in broader level, but there is the lack of planning and vision. That's why the government did not pay attention toward them. uh, Another thing is that the natural resources are on huge level in our country, but there is wars, law and order, corruption, political instability, and lack of vision and planning, and many other things are the reasons behind their management, and that's why it became the effects to the natural resources. Our country is dependent on foreign aid. This dependence on foreign aid is also exploited over natural resources. The external factors also exploited over natural resources. Flawed policies. The flawed policies ever affected our natural resources. The another main thing is that the lack of human resources and development. To ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज की कमी की वजह से और डेवलपमेंट की कमी की वजह से भी जो हमारे नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं उनको एक ब्रॉडर लेवल पर नुकसान पहुंचा है। अगर हम बात करें डिपेंडेंस ऑन फॉरेन एड की, तो हम जो है ख़ास तौर पे फ्रॉम अमेरिका एंड मनी अदर कंट्रीज वी आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन फॉरेन एड। These things are the factors where we gain the factors which gave us the foreign aid. They also exploited our resources. Poor governance of country, as we discuss about the political instability, same the thing as the poor governance of the country। हमेशा गवर्नमेंट आती है वो दूसरी गवर्नमेंट पे ब्लेम करने और इन सारी चीज़ों और मामलात पे बात करते ही, और वो एक जब मुल्क को अच्छे तरीके से नहीं चला पाते, दिस पुअर गवर्नेंस is also affected or exploited the waste toward their toward our or toward the development of the resources. These all things are the reasons behind the poor management. Hydrocarbons and power. Pakistan has modest quantities of petroleum and some large natural gas fields. The first oil discovery made in Pakistan, sorry, was made in 1915. Pakistan intensified the search for oil and natural gas in the 1980s and was rewarded with the discovery of a number of new oil fields in the Potwar Plateau region and in Sindh. A number of fields have been developed, particularly near Badin and Sindh. Pakistan has modest quantities of petroleum and some large natural gas fields, especially in the Potwar Plateau region and in Sindh, particularly near Sindh and near Badin in Sindh. Despite the continued search for new and richer fields, including some offshore exploration and drilling, Pakistan has had to import increasing amounts of oil, increasing amounts of oil from abroad to satisfy growing consumptions make the country vulnerable to inflation and in fluctuation in world oil markets. To sum up these all top, these all discussion on the natural gases, we can conclude that when we can conclude, we can say that Pakistan is blessed with vast land, natural gas reserves, petroleum, extensive coal, iron ore, copper, salt, limestone, and gold besides other natural resources, many of them hith- hith- hitherto undiscovered. Many of the natural resources of Pakistan have not been discovered due to various limitations. Some figures reveal some figures reveal that natural resources exploration is probably only 20 to 30% of actual deposit estimates. There is a need to develop a sound strategy to explore and utilize the resources. What we have should be used with great care. Thank you. I hope you can understand the lecture. If while listening the lecture, if you have any problem, you can comment in Google Classroom, and you can uh, text on WhatsApp your question or your discussion every time. Thank you so much.